Have you ever wondered if the people you associate with every day are having a positive impact on your life? Every interaction, every conversation, every shared experience can subtly shape our thoughts, our emotions, and ultimately, our lives. Just like steady drip of water can carve a path in stone, so too can our daily interactions mold our character, our attitudes, and our perspective on the world. But what happens these interactions are not uplifting, but rather draining? When the companionship we keep is not inspiring, but rather discouraging. When the relationships nurture are not enriching, but rather depleting. These are the questions that us to the topic at hand: toxic associates. A toxic associate can be anyone in your life who consistently brings negative energy into your space, be it a friend, a family member, a colleague, or even a romantic partner. Toxicity can manifest in a myriad of ways, from constant criticism and emotional manipulation to passive-aggressive behavior and lack of respect for your boundaries. But no matter how it shows up, toxicity is always detrimental to our well-being. In the next 20 minutes, we will embark on a comprehensive journey to understand the nature of toxic associates, the impact they can have on our lives, and most importantly, how we can effectively navigate these challenging dynamics. We will delve into the warning signs of toxic relationships, discuss practical strategies for setting healthier boundaries, and explore ways to cultivate a positive circle of associates that foster growth, positivity, and mutual respect. We are not just talking about cutting ties with people who bring us down. We're talking about building bridges with those who lift us up, about nurturing connections that inspire us to be better, about creating a circle of positivity that radiates outwards, touching every facet of our lives. So, buckle up and join us on this journey of understanding toxic associations and building a healthier, more positive circle. Don't forget to subscribe and share with those that you care about the most in your life. Firstly, let's define what a toxic associate looks like. A toxic associate is someone who consistently drains your energy, undermines your self-confidence, or creates unnecessary drama. They could be a friend, a family member, a coworker, or even a romantic partner. They're the people who leave you feeling exhausted, frustrated, or upset more often than not. Common traits of toxic associates may include constant negativity, a lack of respect for your boundaries, manipulative behaviors, and a pattern of one-sided interactions. They might belittle your accomplishments, ignore your feelings, or make you feel guilty for asserting your needs. These behaviors can be subtle and insidious, making them difficult to recognize at first, but they're all signs of a toxic relationship. We also need to understand the serious impact that toxic relationships can have on our mental and emotional well-being. Interacting with toxic associates can lead to increased stress, decreased self-esteem, and even symptoms of anxiety or depression. Over time, these negative effects can permeate every aspect of our lives, from our performance at work to our relationships with others and our overall quality of life. Toxic relationships can also affect our physical health. Chronic stress, a common consequence of dealing with toxic associates, can lead to a range of health problems, from headaches and insomnia to more serious conditions like heart disease. But remember, recognizing these patterns is the first step to addressing them. Knowledge is power, and understanding what constitutes a toxic associate is crucial in identifying and dealing with these harmful relationships effectively. As you can see, toxic associates can have a serious impact on our lives, which is why it's so important to recognize them. Stay tuned as we delve deeper into the signs of a toxic relationship and provide practical strategies for dealing with toxic associates. Now that we know what a toxic associate is, how can we spot the red flags? Recognizing the warning signs of a toxic association can be as subtle as a gut feeling or as visible as a consistent pattern of negative behavior. It's often the small things that build up over time, creating an environment that leaves you feeling drained, undermined, or undervalued. For instance, consider the friend who always seems to find fault, no matter how small, or the colleague who consistently undermines your achievements. These are classic examples of toxic behavior, where the other person's needs or feelings are prioritized over your own. Another warning sign to look out for is gaslighting, a manipulative tactic where a person makes you question your own reality or sanity through persistent denial, misdirection, contradiction, and lying. Imagine a scenario where a coworker makes a mistake but somehow convinces you that you're the one at fault. That's gaslighting. Also, beware of individuals who constantly play the victim, refusing to take responsibility for their actions and always blaming others for their own shortcomings. They might use emotional guilt trips to manipulate you into doing what they want, leaving you feeling responsible for their happiness. One more red flag is the presence of jealousy and constant competition. A toxic associate might feel threatened by your success and try to outdo you at every turn, creating a perpetual state of rivalry rather than mutual support. Finally, take note of how you feel after spending time with an associate. Do you feel drained, anxious, or unhappy? These feelings can be a direct indication that the relationship is toxic. These examples are not exhaustive, and it's important to remember that everyone can exhibit these behaviors at times. What makes an associate toxic is the consistent pattern of these behaviors without remorse or willingness to change. Being able to recognize these warning signs is crucial in identifying and dealing with toxic associates. It's the first step in taking control of your personal or professional relationships, enabling you to create healthier boundaries and a more positive environment. These warning signs can help us identify toxic associates before they cause too much damage. It's time to get personal. How healthy are your relationships? Every relationship, be it personal or professional, has a profound impact on our lives. They shape our experiences, influence our emotions, and can either propel us forward or hold us back. It's crucial to assess these relationships regularly to ensure they're serving us well and contributing to our overall well-being. So how do we do this? Let's start with some introspective questions. Do you feel emotionally safe and respected in your relationships? Are your thoughts and feelings valued? Does the relationship bring more joy than stress? Is there a balance of give and take, or does it feel one-sided? These questions can help you gauge the health of your relationships. Remember, a healthy relationship should foster growth and positivity, not anxiety or self-doubt. It should be a source of comfort and support, not a constant battleground. If you find yourself constantly drained or undermined, it may be time to reassess. Now let's delve a bit deeper. Reflect on how you feel after interacting with the people in your life. Energized, understood and appreciated, or depleted, misunderstood and unimportant? Your emotions can serve as a powerful barometer, reflecting the quality of your relationships. Here's another prompt. Picture your ideal relationship. What does it look like? How does it feel? Now compare this image to your existing relationships. Do they align? This comparison can shed light on areas of misalignment and point towards the changes you may need to make. Assessing your relationships isn't about assigning blame or finding fault. It's about understanding your emotional landscape better and identifying what serves your well-being. It's about making conscious choices about who you allow into your life and how they impact you. The journey towards healthier relationships can be challenging. It may involve difficult conversations, setting boundaries, or even letting go of certain relationships. But the reward is a supportive network that respects your boundaries, values your worth, and encourages your growth. Remember, recognizing a toxic relationship is the first step towards addressing it. Boundaries are essential in managing toxic relationships. But how do we establish them effectively? It's like building a fence around a garden. The fence doesn't exist to harm or hinder, but to protect what's inside. Your emotional well-being is that garden, and it deserves protection. Now, setting boundaries is not about cutting people off or shutting them out. It's about defining what you're comfortable with and what you're not. It's about asserting your right to mental and emotional peace. But how do we do this? First, identify the behavior that is causing you distress. It could be constant negativity, lack of respect for your time, or even personal attacks. Once you've identified the toxic behavior, it's time to communicate your boundaries. Remember, your feelings are valid, and it's okay to express them. When communicating your boundaries, it's important to be firm yet respectful. Use I statements to express how you feel and what you need. For instance, I feel disrespected when you interrupt me, and I need you to let me finish speaking. This kind of communication is assertive, not aggressive. It respects both your feelings and the other person's. Remember, setting boundaries doesn't mean the other person will respect them right away or at all. It's not in your control how others respond. What's in your control is maintaining your boundaries and deciding how to react when they're not respected. If someone continually disrespects your boundaries, it might be time to reconsider that relationship. Practicing this can be challenging, especially if you're used to accommodating others at the expense of your own comfort. But it's a vital step towards healthier relationships. It's an act of self-care. You owe it to yourself to cultivate an environment that fosters your growth, not hinders it. Remember, boundaries aren't walls, they're the fences that protect your emotional garden, allowing it to bloom in safety. Start today. Identify the toxic behaviors affecting you, assertively communicate your boundaries, and maintain them for your well-being. With these tips, you can start setting boundaries that protect your well-being. Having identified and set boundaries, the next step is addressing the toxicity. Confronting toxic associates can be a daunting task, but it's an essential part of reclaiming your peace. It's not about blaming or attacking, but rather expressing how certain behaviors or attitudes affect you. Use I statements to communicate your feelings and experiences. For example, instead of saying, "You always belittle me," try, "I feel belittled when you say those things to me." This approach fosters understanding rather than defensiveness. Remember, confrontation doesn't always lead to resolution, and that's okay. Some toxic associates may not be willing to change or even acknowledge their harmful behavior. In such cases, it's crucial to prioritize your well-being and consider distancing yourself from these relationships. Now let's talk about self-care. Dealing with toxicity can take a toll on your emotional and mental health. It's vital to ensure you're taking care of yourself throughout this process. Self-care can take many forms. It could be setting aside quiet time for reflection, indulging in a favorite hobby, or seeking professional help like therapy. Equally important is seeking support. Confiding in a trusted friend or family member can provide a fresh perspective and much-needed emotional support. You're not alone in this journey, and you don't have to carry the burden by yourself. There are also numerous support groups and online communities where you can connect with people who are going through similar experiences. It's essential to remember that addressing toxicity is not about winning or losing. It's about establishing respect and nurturing your well-being. You don't have to tolerate any form of disrespect or toxicity that drains your energy or diminishes your self-esteem. As we navigate this path, it's crucial to stay patient and compassionate with ourselves. Change takes time, and it's okay to stumble along the way. What matters is that we keep moving forward, learning from each experience, and continually striving for healthier, more fulfilling relationships. Remember, addressing toxicity is about protecting your peace, not starting a war. Now let's shift our focus to building a supportive network of positive influences. It's not only about identifying the toxic people in our lives and learning how to deal with them. It's equally, if not more important, to foster healthy relationships that nourish our growth and well-being. So, how do we cultivate a circle of positivity? First off, it's essential to understand that like attracts like. If you want to attract positive, supportive people into your life, you need to embody those qualities yourself. Be the kind of person you want to have in your life. Show kindness, be supportive, and exude positivity. This will naturally draw similar individuals towards you. Additionally, it's crucial to establish relationships based on mutual respect and support. Healthy relationships aren't one-sided. They require give and take from both parties. When you respect others and show genuine interest in their growth and well-being, they're likely to reciprocate. Of course, it's also important to be proactive in seeking out positive influences. Join clubs, participate in community activities, or volunteer for causes you're passionate about. These are fantastic ways to meet like-minded individuals who share similar values and interests. Remember, it's okay to take your time in cultivating your circle. Building meaningful relationships doesn't happen overnight. Be patient, be persistent, and be open to learning from every interaction you have. Also, don't be afraid to let go of relationships that no longer serve you. Even if someone has been in your life for a long time, if they're not contributing to your growth or happiness, it's okay to distance yourself. This isn't about being selfish. It's about prioritizing your mental and emotional well-being. Lastly, remember that it's okay to have a small circle. It's not about the quantity, but the quality of the relationships you have. A few positive, supportive relationships can be far more beneficial than a large number of shallow ones. As you can see, building a positive circle is just as important as identifying toxic associates. By surrounding ourselves with positive influences, we create a nurturing environment that encourages growth, fosters happiness, and enhances our overall quality of life. Navigating toxic associates isn't just about others, it's about us too. As we journey towards building healthier relationships, it's essential to turn the lens inward and examine our own role in these dynamics. This isn't about self-blame, but about self-awareness and personal growth. It's about understanding how our actions attitudes, and responses contribute to the relationships we cultivate? Are we enabling toxic behavior? Are we asserting our boundaries effectively? Are we recognizing our own worth? These questions may be challenging to confront, but they're crucial in fostering healthier connections. It's not just about identifying and addressing toxicity in others. It's also about identifying and addressing areas of growth within ourselves. Just as we've learned to identify toxic traits in others, let's also learn to identify areas in our own behavior that need improvement. This could be becoming more assertive, improving our communication, or learning to say no when we need to. Let's remember, personal growth isn't a one-time event, but a lifelong journey of self-improvement. Self-reflection is a powerful tool in this journey. It allows us to take a step back, evaluate our actions, and make necessary changes. It's through this honest introspection that we can recognize patterns, understand our role in them, and take steps to break these cycles. It's about being accountable for our actions and making conscious decisions to change where necessary. This self-reflection also allows us to understand what we value in relationships, what we're willing to tolerate, and what we simply won't stand for. This clarity is empowering. It equips us to build relationships that are aligned with our values and expectations. It's also important to remember that growth is a process. It doesn't happen overnight, and it certainly isn't linear. There will be setbacks and challenges along the way, but these are all part of the journey. With each hurdle, we learn more about ourselves and become better equipped to cultivate healthier relationships. Remember, continuous self-improvement fosters healthier connections. As we strive towards personal growth, we not only improve our own lives, but also influence those around us in positive ways. So, let's commit to this journey of self-improvement and build relationships that are nurturing, positive, and fulfilling. Let's take a look at some real-life examples of individuals navigating toxic relationships. Consider the story of Jane, a successful entrepreneur who found herself constantly undermined by a business partner. Recognizing the toxic dynamic, Jane took the brave step of dissolving the partnership to protect her mental well-being. Then there's Mark, a graphic designer who experienced emotional drain from a group of judgmental friends. Mark chose to distance himself, focusing on fostering relationships with more supportive, understanding peers. Finally, let's talk about Lisa, a college student who dealt with a manipulative roommate. Lisa set firm boundaries, sought support from her college counselor, and eventually moved to a healthier living situation. Each of these individuals faced challenges in dealing with toxicity, but they all took decisive actions to better their circumstances. They assessed, addressed, and shifted their focus to cultivating more positive circles. These examples show that dealing with toxic associates is a journey, but one that's worth taking. Now that we've learned a lot, how can we apply it in our lives? It's time to put theory into practice. Let's start by conducting an honest assessment of the relationships in our life. Jot down the names of the people you interact with regularly. Reflect on each relationship. Does it bring you joy or stress? Does it make you feel supported or undermined? This will help you identify the relationships that might be toxic. Next, design your boundaries. What behavior will you not tolerate? How will you communicate these boundaries effectively? Remember, it's okay to say no and protect your peace. Finally, start cultivating your positive circle. Reach out to individuals who inspire and support you. Make an active effort to engage with them more frequently. The journey to healthier relationships isn't always easy, but it's worth it. With these action steps, you can start making positive changes in your relationships today. We'd love to hear from you. Any questions or experiences you'd like to share? It's incredibly important to us that this conversation doesn't end here. As we navigate the complexities of relationships, we all have unique perspectives and lessons that can help others along their journey. Maybe you've successfully managed a toxic associate and have some wisdom to impart, or perhaps you're in the thick of it and need some advice. Let's open the floor for discussion. It's through sharing our stories and challenges that we can foster a sense of community and support. It's okay to not have all the answers. It's okay to need guidance. That's what we're here for. Remember, each one of us has the power to turn our experiences into insights that can light the way for others. Your experiences and insights are valuable. Remember, you're not alone. As we conclude, let's recap what we've learned. We've dived deep into the realms of toxic associates, understanding their traits and the impact they can have on our mental and emotional well-being. We've explored the subtle cues that can warn us of toxicity and offered you practical strategies for confronting these challenging dynamics. We've emphasized the importance of self-reflection, setting boundaries, and seeking support when dealing with these situations. But remember, it's not just about addressing toxicity. It's also about cultivating positivity. By attracting and nurturing healthy relationships based on mutual respect and support, you can create a supportive network that fosters growth and positivity in your life. This journey doesn't end here. It's a continuous process of self-improvement, assessing your relationships, and making proactive changes. You're now equipped with the knowledge to navigate toxic associates and build a positive circle. Remember, you have the power to change.